US metal disruptors Veil of Maya released their 7th album in May this year and prove once again that they're beyond categorization. Vocalist extraordinaire Lukas Magyar joins Kirk Horton for a track-by-track analysis of the band's latest record, Mother. This is an SBR exclusive interview. So, Mother, released on Sumerian Records, 12th of May, album number 7, your third with the band, and it starts with a song called Tokyo Chainsaw. I'm just going to give you my opinion on this. When I first heard it, I was a bit worried for the album, and the reason why is a lot of people see Veil of Maya as a band that are heavily influenced by Meshuggah, and this song starts off exactly like Future Breed Machine by Meshuggah. Even the alarm and the deliberate misalignment of drums and guitar, the polyrhythm. What was the intention with this song when you and Mark wrote it?
I mean, actually, I wasn't in the room when Mark was working on the instrumentals. He was mainly doing that with KJ Strock and Zach Jones. So I honestly couldn't tell you where his head was at. But I mean, if it's that close to a Meshuggah song, then I'm sure he was very well aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I love the production on it, and your vocals just.
I was so surprised that was really one that like really stuck on people. Mark was saying it the whole time. I was like, really? And then it comes out, no video, and sure enough, like a lot of people are talking about it. And I was like, all right.
I think because it's such a technical song and there's so much chaos in it, and I probably am like a lot of the Veil of Maya fan base. Let's be honest, we are obsessed with this type of music, aren't we? And we will microanalyze things. And you're probably thinking, hey, I'm the vocalist, you know. You're talking about.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to make it seem as simple as possible because I have to like compose rhythms over it. You know what I mean? So like taking some of the Veil songs when Mark's got them, right, and then being like, all right, now I have to put rhythms and melodies over it. It can be a complicated task. So I'm usually trying to like make my brain understand everything in the simplest form possible, and then I don't even worry about the detailed stuff until later when it's finished. Then I can go in and dive into all the production and those aspects a little more.
Yeah, because when we go on to track number 2, Artificial Dose, one of the standout songs for me, and because you've started this record so aggressively as a vocalist, it's a bit like when you listen to Periphery 3 and the first 2 songs, Spencer is just roaring through those songs. And then he puts a chorus and you do the same. And the chorus in this is brilliant because I just was not expecting it. For some reason, because it's so heavy to start, I just thought your voice was going to keep doing that. And it just comes from nowhere. Tell us about how you managed to bring order to chaos in this song with that chorus.
I think a lot of it ends up coming down to the tones that I use. So the beginning, there's like 2 different screaming techniques that I kind of flip between, and I'll layer them together and stuff too quite a bit. And when we got to that chorus, I remember writing it, and the part that we had, or the part that's there now, the current chorus, that's originally what we wrote. That was the first idea that I put down, and we recorded it, and then we had the verse leading up to it, and we felt like the textures and the sounds and the tones that we were using in the verse were appropriate. But then it came to that chorus, and we were like, what is happening here? Like something is just not, and we didn't really know. So we ended up rewriting the melody and the lyrics to the chorus. So I did a whole new version, new melody, rewrote the lyrics, and it just wasn't any better. So we ended up reverting to the original chorus. I re-recorded it. So we didn't just go and put the old takes back in. I just re-executed everything. And we just kind of left it. And no one said anything, and everyone was like happy with it. So I think what happened was there's just a pretty extreme shift in the instrumental, obviously, right? And there wasn't really much you could do to disguise it. It was just going to be that way. So it was pretty much like execute both ways as good as possible. And with the vocal tone, try to use the best scream, whatever you want to call it, that to carry into that chorus. And so we just kind of focused on that and hoped it worked. I know some people that song kind of drops on some people's list, I think, because of that transition. So it's either you appreciate it or you don't, because it's almost like two different songs right there. Like you just get a whole different thing coming at you. Um, but it's unique. It's cool. I don't mind it. But I can definitely understand why it might not be as high on someone else's list.
Yeah, before we move on to try number three, though, I must say there's a middle eight section in that, and you're using these very sophisticated early 90s R&B type phrasings. And you do that really well on that single Outrun. That chorus is fantastic. Before we move on to track number three, I know it's come up. Why is Viscera not on this album? And why is Outrun not on this album?
So it was a whole cluster of things that kind of happened, and they just weren't worked on at the same time. Outrun just kind of ended up being its own thing in general. Viscera was part of a collection of songs that was worked on entirely separately from what Mother is now, right?
Yeah.
And it just didn't, it just wasn't really going to work as one thing. It came down to, not only like when and how they were written, but who was working on them on the engineer and production side. And we just felt like we weren't going to get them to mesh, and they had already been out for so long too. Just like, let them be. There's nothing wrong with those being singles, and maybe we repackage them later or whatever. And our fans were not going to be happy if we included all those songs and then only came out with like 4 new ones. It was like we really need to come out with a brand new album. So that's what we did.
Yeah, brave decision and one that works. Can I just check? Can we expect to hear Viscera certainly in the live set when you're touring?
Oh, I mean, I would assume we've been playing Viscera for a while now.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal song. That really.
But it's hard to say now because the new record just came out, so I don't really know exactly what's going to stick and whatnot. So
Yeah, do you know, it's such a personal song that for me because it was the height of the COVID lockdowns. And I was checking on my streaming platform. That was the most streamed song for me of 2021. Was it 2020? Was it the first lockdown when Viscera came out?
no, because that's when Outsider came out, I think.
Yes, it was Outside, wasn't it? But yeah,
and then Viscera came out the following year.
I just love that song. Do you know, that might be the best song the band have ever written, in my opinion.
Well, thank you.
It's all over the place. So track number 3, Godhead. Probably the most chaotic song on here. What I love about this, it reminds me of Dillinger Escape Plan and Meshuggah and bands like that. And do you know what? Your vocals again are really severe on this, aren't they? At points. So if you were to show this to like your niece or a cousin, they'd probably be terrified of this one if they heard you singing like this.
I don't know. I have my nephew here right now, so I should show him. I feel like my brother probably showed him already, but maybe I should get him down here and get his opinion on it. I'll say this though, it's really funny because they do like Veil, but my brother has Veil of Mayan for my nephews, his kids. They do love it. But our manager, Derek, we were chatting earlier, texting back and forth. He sent me something. He's like, "This is what I'm listening to," and I click on it, I start playing it, and my nephew's face is just like, you'd think he was watching a horror film.
Yeah, do you know, there is the ending to this. Obviously, Veil of Maya predates Lorna Shore and have influenced them, but it does have one of those like absurd, monstrous breakdowns at the end, doesn't it? This song. Do you look forward to that part of the song when you're on stage where it just goes into the breakdown, or are you under pressure to do those because you've got to?
No, that part's sick. Yeah. No, dude, the crowd loves that part.
They're the ones that get you a guaranteed reaction out of it. When you're playing live.
Yeah, no, that part goes off just about every night, so that's fun. And we haven't even really done that for like a big headline show yet. We haven't even, because we did so much support for Avatar. That's literally all we've done since the album came out so far. And it was getting a reaction on to those crowds, and those were Avatar fans mostly. So I think, especially once we get into like a headlining atmosphere, I think people will really go hard for that one.
Yeah, definitely. Track number 4, again, standout song for me. I'm going to make a prediction. This is one that you are immensely proud of. Reconnect. What was your involvement in the songwriting process for this song?
So basically, our process between like instrumental and vocals is pretty much the same, and it works out pretty well because we can kind of tag team, right? We just kind of tackle two birds. So Mark will be in the studio with someone working on instrumentals, and he's always out there first. And then I'll come along once they start having songs that are pretty solidified instrumentally. There might be some changes here and there down the road as we continue working on it. But then once they kick those songs to me, then usually I start recording, well, writing and recording my parts. And then they're getting more songs done. So then by the time I have vocals done on these songs, I have a new, 2 or 3 songs to work on. So my role is always vocal melodies, rhythms, lyrics on all of the Veil songs. And it's been a pretty good process.
Yeah, do you know, this is the one song on the album, because when I went into this, it's like, I hope there's going to be at least one song like Pool Spray, which everyone loves, don't they? Let's be honest. And I think this is the Pool Spray of the album. It doesn't sound like it, but it just, that to me, has that same chorus. It's such a very intelligent chorus to me. I think that's what does it. But it's so heavy, this song as well, isn't it? You've got this surprise falsetto uplift. And then the next thing, you are just screaming, what is it? Sedate me, bring me to life, unchange me. It's like, whoa, you almost feel like you're in front of a jet engine at certain points in the song.
Yeah, that was a fun one to work on. Again, it was a situation where like we knew that transition was going to be interesting, right? That first part where I come in singing. But again, you just lean into it. You try to sell it as good as you can. I think it works overall, and it just makes the song a little bit more interesting to have that moment in there.
Yeah, it does. And when we get to track number 5, Red Fur, which obviously is a single with very impressive video production behind it, the album to me turns experimental in the second third. The beginning is just so extreme, yet there are moments of great timbre and texture. Like for example, Reconnect is almost like, I think I said in my review, AI interpreting Steve Vai, and then we've got your vocals on the top. Red Fur, a lot of thought gone into the synthesizers on this. Where in the album process did this come in terms of completion? Was this one of the first or one of the last songs on the album?
Red Fur was the first one that I received. Right? Yeah, because it was when I showed up, that was the first one we worked on. So that element, like the synths and stuff, which they're on Outrun, they're on Viscera, like they're all over now, especially. But so that's just been a part of our writing process and Mark's process, and the individuals he's collaborating with. And so it didn't come along like partway through writing or anything like that. It was definitely there from the beginning. And it just happens to be, you might not get a real taste of it on the record until you get, 4 songs in. But again, it's a single. So, everyone knew that stuff was going to be there. And also, again, with songs like Outrun and Viscera and stuff being out, like we've pretty much made it clear that that's going to be a staple of our production, at least for the time being. Right.
Yeah, I think you really excel on this song as a vocalist. Very smooth chorus. How difficult was it to write the chorus to this song?
Super easy, actually. So we had 3 different chorus ideas. I think the one that stuck was the last one. There's that interesting part at the end, the feeding of their ignorance. That was one of the chorus ideas, but it felt a little underwhelming. So we were originally just gonna kind of like, we'll see what happens, and then it landed there. We're like, all right, we can keep it there. Coming up with ideas for it was super simple. Like I said, we were sitting there for like 20-30 minutes, and we had already recorded like maybe an hour, and we had already recorded 3 separate ideas for the chorus. And then that last one was the one where we were like, all right, this really feels like this is the one that we want to roll with.
Yeah, again, the ending to this is absolutely insane. It's almost like a dubstep breakdown, isn't it? At the end, there's just so much colliding noises going on. With the downtuned guitars, I'd love to see this one live.
That's a really fun one live. I think as soon as as soon as the song before it's over, it's like I'm trying to think of what it was on the Avatar tour. I can't remember, but Elizabeth. As soon as Elizabeth ended, I was like, all right, because it's like hitting a different phase of the set once you get to that song. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Even though I think this is where the album becomes more experimental and to me, even more interesting. I know what you mean. That ending still gets you, doesn't it? Now, track number 6, great video, by the way. Disco Kill Party. It looks like you're all having fun in
Thanks.
there.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
a lot of synth in there, but I think Mark and the team. You said there's a team. You know, Sam, you've really studied your synths. You're not just like, oh, we bought all this expensive equipment. Let's just mess around with it. There's a lot of thought gone into it. But again, you know, you've still got a real crunchy guitar element to it. Tell us actually about the video for this, because it looks like you really did enjoy. Was it 1 day of filming, 2 days of filming?
Yeah, 1 day. Well, so interesting. So Black Box, the studio that we worked with, the owner, one of the partners, has a friend up in Tahoe, and we were going to be shooting a video for Artificial Dose in a snowstorm, or at least in the snow, right? We didn't, you know, we don't know the weather, so we were going to be out in the snow, and there was supposed to be a wolf and all this stuff, right? And everything just went wrong. It was just, you know, Murphy's Law. Just there was definitely a snowstorm, and it lasted the entire 4 days we were booked to shoot, literally the entire time. And the house we were at, who was again the friend of one of the partners of Black Box, was immaculate. Like this guy just lives in his own world. It was super sick. We walk, it's just crazy. He's got pirate stuff everywhere. He's got a disco ball, which is obviously in the video. It's crazy decor, and you're overlooking the mountains. And the whole 4 days, every like half hour or so, you could see the mountains, and then the storm would roll in, and you could no longer see, you know, more than like 50 yards out there. So it got to a point where we've been there for 3 days and we haven't shot anything. There's also no wolf, so there's that too. So we're like, well, we got to do something. What else can we do? And we're like, well, we have this really sick house, and it's got a ball pit and a bathtub, and we have so all the costumes and everything is just this fella's wardrobe and stuff that he has, and he just gave us access to it. His name is Jeff, by the way. So we raided this closet, got our wardrobe, and just had fun because we needed a video. It was going to be a complete disaster and a colossal waste of money if we walked out of Tahoe for 4 days, after 4 days, and had no video. So we're like, well, we got to shoot something. And so that's what we came up with. And I think it's the coolest video we've ever made, personally.
Yeah, especially Sam, the drummer, what the hell is he doing with his attire?
It's so good. But he's been wanting to wear a sailor hat since we did Shiprocked in like 2022 or whatever it was. And he finally had his moment to wear it.
Can you remember who won the games of pool? Because there's quite a lot of you all dressed up playing pool. I'm guessing you were probably
I don't think we actually played a full game. I think we were just shooting around for the camera, essentially. But we definitely played a lot of buck hunt, or big buck, whatever it's called. We were playing that like quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, that's it. It just communicates that vibe, doesn't it? Whereas when we get to track number 7, Mother Part 4, which again, I think this is one of the songs on the album that just leaves me incredulous. I'm looking at the notes that I wrote down, and I must have used 4 exclamation marks during my notes for this, which I never do, because it's just, I don't know how to process what's going on. It almost feels like being pinned to the floor and someone saying, tell me what this is, and I just don't know what to say. Yeah, what do you remember about, I know you said that Mark's in a different room. I suppose at this point, can I just ask a question about, you said there's a different team working on this. Does that mean there are outside songwriters involved in the process?
Well, Mark, you know, when you go in, you work with like an engineer and a producer, right? So at the end of the day, like, you're doing the work, but they're definitely there to kind of keep the process moving, offer their ideas, which are certainly helpful. So not necessarily, and I can't speak for them because again, I'm just working on a whole other part of the process while they do that. But I think a lot of it is just really getting everything done at once, so you don't have to constantly go back and revisit things. I don't know how much outside writing there is, obviously, but I think it's just a lot of production elements and overall collaboration.
Yeah, I think I misunderstood that then, didn't I? You're right, because like, you watch a documentary about the Black Album by Metallica and Bob Rock, and he might say, "Oh, why don't you change that lyric there?" Or what about putting this bass fill in here? He's not involved in the songwriting, but you say he's keeping it on track, isn't it? He's a sound engineer and a producer. Yeah. So that I now I know what you mean. When you said we brought in a new team, I was like, what? They Love Maya are all virtuoso musicians. Why would they need anyone to help them? And if you look at it, the end product of this album is probably the most extreme one you've done. So there's clearly, I don't think there's anything in this where you would think, oh, they've gone for a more melodic direction. If anything, you've gone even
Well,
darker.
I don't think you could say that. I mean, yeah, I thought Falsetto was a heavier version of Matriarch, and Mother is a heavier version of Falsetto, but like way heavier, like a way heavier step. It just depends on like what part of the records you're in,
Yeah.
which I think is cool.
I mean, I've got to say, I think your extreme vocals on this song were as good as anyone's. Would you? How would you rate your? I suppose it's a stupid question. How would you rate your performance? What do you think about the harsher elements of your voice on this song?
I think that they matched the tone of the song. I'm happy with the outcome. I certainly don't look back on any of the material and wish for another take. I'm usually pretty good at making sure that the final take is the one, and I'm going to be happy with it. But then I still go home and I'm always trying to like make the techniques more efficient, learn something new. So there's definitely not a complacency that comes with it, but there's certainly no regret. I feel very good about what I was able to accomplish and what we were able to accomplish. And I think that we've put ourselves in a position where we're probably the only band that's going to sound like our band. You know what I mean? And it can fall into a category that you can put other bands in, but just the elements that we have are so interesting and different. Mark as a guitar player is very different, and me as a vocalist is very different, and Sam and Dan as instrumentalists are very different. Sam plays a 7-string bass. You know what I mean? It's just we're just four really weird, strange musicians, and having it all together gives us an opportunity to just make something really unique.
I agree, and it's not hyperbole what you're saying. Veil are one of the few bands now that I just think you've transcended any categorization. It's heavy music, but there's just so many things in there. Yet there's this coherence as well. Even though musically you're almost like tech disruptors, aren't you? It seems like you want to do that, but yeah, it probably that's what surprises me about the last third of this album. It goes absolutely berserk again, doesn't it? From Synthwave Vegan, track number 8, through to the end. I'm right in thinking, would you say Synthwave Vegan is probably the song that's had the biggest impact, in terms of positive feedback from fans and new listeners?
I don't know. I'd probably say I Disco Kill, Reconnect, Tokyo Drift, and Red Fur, I think, are probably the four. I mean, I hear Disco Kill and Tokyo Chainsaw referred to the most probably, and Reconnect.
Yeah.
Like those ones are talked about a lot. So I don't know. I don't really know where synthwave fits. There's a lot of different metrics you can use, so it's hard to tell, Yeah, it depends. Are you looking at Spotify? Are you looking at YouTube? Are you looking at the live reaction? Are you looking at what people are saying on social media and things? So I think as a band, it's always kind of interesting to get other people's feedback on what their favorite is, because someone's always going to hit you with the unexpected,
Yeah, do you know, actually, before we move on to track number 9, Lost Creator, can I just ask at this point, in the modern day, are you bothered, are you going to read the review in Metal Hammer or Kerrang or Rolling Stone? Do you even bother to go and search out the written reviews by journalists, or is it now it is going to be YouTube, TikTok, fan forums? What do you, when you look at the reaction to an album, what do you go to for first?
I'll go to anything. I honestly don't seek out a whole lot of stuff too much. I kind of let the information come to me for the most part. That's the kind of the way I am about a lot of things. I feel like once it's out, it's your job to promote it and promote it no matter what. And yes, it doesn't really matter what people say, but I like articles and stuff. I'm definitely interested in reading because I think I probably respect those opinions, even if I don't know the writer or whatnot. Just the fact that you're working with a publication, someone respects you as a writer and your opinion on music, right? So that gives some credibility. But what people are going to say in comments, that's just all over the place. You know what I mean? So um, comments I pay very little attention to. Articles and stuff I definitely like to read and hear the feedback and things, and they're interesting because you can tell this person thought about it. They weren't just having a bad day and decided to like rip a band to shreds because they had to do the dishes or something. This is their job. They care. They're really going to listen to the music probably a couple times, see if some things grow on them that they didn't like, maybe get annoyed by something they thought they liked. They're going to really try their best to understand it.
Yeah, definitely. When I reviewed this for Scream Blast Repeat, we do give a metric. I give it 7 out of 10. The only reason I didn't give it an excellent 8 out of 10 is as such a big fan of the band, but also because there are elements that I don't understand and I'm pleased to be bamboozled by them. I just thought, because I've got to try to be neutral for the reader as well, and said, put it in context. This is where the band come from. Where do they fit into the current scene? And it's such a fascinating album to review. And it's only 33 minutes, and there's so much in those 33 minutes as well. And when we get to number 9, Lost Creator, probably the heaviest song on the album, isn't it? We've got blast beats, technical death metal, rhythms, and again, there's some moments from you in here that are just ferocious in this song. Was this one that was quite easy to write?
You know what? I still have so many of the working titles in my head. I just want to make sure I know exactly which one I'm talking about here. Because I'm trying to think of what this one sounds like, because I called it something entirely different. Okay, I just looked up the lyrics to my own song here. Okay, yeah, I did not have too much of a problem with this one. I felt like the way it was written instrumentally kind of super easy. Not a whole lot to have to dissect here in terms of coming up with rhythms and stuff, kind of like what I talked about earlier. This was one where I was like, okay, this is going to be super simple. It didn't take me long to get my topic and what I wanted to kind of get into with it. And then kind of went from there. We probably put this together start to finish in like a couple hours.
This is probably a present for the old fan base, isn't it? This song. It's like, hey, we are still writing music that can slice through your head. And even the last song, Death Runner, I keep coming back to your vocals. To me, this song sounds like you are almost doing a Chris Lipe workshop and you're showing all these techniques. There are some incredible techniques in your harsh vocal range on here. How much does that take out of you in the vocal booth? Because, I mean, are you doing like multiple takes of a song like Death Runner? Because that must be exhausting.
Yeah, because usually you go in and you get you get a section, you get all the mains, and then whatever layers and things go with that. But then you have to get good main lines, right? So the first couple takes, something might go a little bit awry. So you got to get through the mains, then you have to layer everything. So you're almost tracking the song like 7 times. There's just a lot going on.
Are you like Spencer Sotelo? Because I remember watching an interview and he will do it line by line, stop, record the next line. And his retort was, why wouldn't you do it like that? This is the one chance you've got to record an album and you're going to learn how to do it live. Do you do the same? Do you do it line by line, the recording?
Essentially, and it kind of always depends on the part. I mean, there are some parts where I don't have to condition my body or train my body at all to do this. So this is going to be easy. I don't have to worry about it. But then there are parts where I'm in the studio. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to do this thing and I can't do it all at once here. I'll learn how to do it. But right now I have to get it done one way or the other. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with them. Like, do it, break it up, make it difficult. That's fine. that's what rehearsal and training is for, you know, like do your job after that and work on the song and work on the material so you can execute it.
Excellent. Well, Lukas Magyar, we've just gone through your wonderful new album. Viewers, please go out there, go and buy a physical copy of it. Like me, buy the CDs if you're a fan of this band. Stream it on the platforms. Is there one last message you want to say to your fan base and to the viewers of the Screen Blast Repeat YouTube channel?
Oh man, yeah, I mean the support has been great on the record. I'm very excited, and I appreciate everyone who has taken a listen to it. Anyone who may have came out while we were out with Avatar, thank you very much, and it was an absolute pleasure sitting here and chatting with you.